Hello and welcome back to Ted Davies Artistry. My name's Ted Davies and I'm the guy hosting this crazy show. What we do here is if you're a creative, this is how we help you build your creative business. And I do that by doing some interviews and showing you some of the things I do to keep rolling as an artist and an author. One of the things that I really have a problem with as a comic book collector is storing my comics. And I don't really care about grading. I am probably one of the few, well, maybe the few, that don't really care for graded comics. Once they're sealed up and they're in their form, you can't read them anymore. And I know there's ways you can do it with digital or trade paperbacks and all that other fun stuff. But I mean, when you go from this traditional type of packaging, which is great, and there's nothing wrong with that, but when we're looking at it from a standpoint of safety, maybe you get into something a little bit more durable, right? We've all have a few of these too, right? Well, what I'm going to show you today is something I think that's going to revolutionize everything. It has for my collection, and I think that you guys, as a collective, I think you guys should really look at this. Crafti Comics has a solution. One of the things I didn't like about getting things from CGC and all that other stuff, besides everything that's happened the last year and that, which I think that they said they straightened out. Once the things are sealed up, you can't open them again without destroying the integrity of what you have there. Well, this option, and then the gentleman that I'm going to be bringing on here, I think has a solution that's going to work. Crafti Comics has got a guy named Dan, and Dan is the man when it comes to this. And I'm really excited to have him on. I've been following him for about a year now, and I just think, like I said, I'm over the moon with the product. I'm going to show you what I've got, what he was very, very kind enough to send me. A couple things. You can see one of them over the side of my shoulder here. I'm a huge Hellboy fan, and there's really no other place that I would want to have that particular first color appearance of Hellboy than in one of these products. So let's bring Dan on. Dan, how are you, sir?
Thanks for having me, Ted.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. It's been a long time coming. I know we've been, playing phone tag and everything else, and life gets in the way sometimes, and you know how that works. But I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad everything's good now. Yeah. And I want to know, we start out every Ted Davies Artistry with the same question when we're interviewing. When did you land on this planet, my friend?
1987 in Hightstown, New Jersey.
Really? Okay. Yep. So where are you now? You relocated?
I've relocated, yeah. I live in Los Angeles. I've been out here in SoCal for about 12 years now.
Wow.
Out here is where I met my wife. We started a family, started a business here.
Sure.
So my roots are pretty firmly here, but yeah, I grew up on the East Coast.
So that's awesome, though. So why this? We talked about we're selling the sizzle right now. We're not quite giving the steak away yet. So why this particular passion? Is it something to you tell me? What do you think is this?
So honestly, the first comic memory I have is walking downtown in Hightstown. There was a comic book shop downtown about a mile from my parents' house, and picking up the Spider-Man Blood Brothers storyline, which was off of the Clone Saga. And at the time, I grew up in a family where I had half siblings who were kind of significantly older than me. And, I spent a lot of time with my older brother. And I think maybe that was one of the reasons why I was tied to that Blood Brothers, kind of line, because it felt a little bit maybe like our relationship.
Cool.
And, I did the thing that every 12-year-old does when you sell all your comics, because comics aren't cool anymore as a kid.
Sure.
And then as an adult, you get back into rebuying all the things that you sold off as a kid.
Right.
And
the nostalgia bug, right? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And so, yeah, now here I am.
Are you still a Spider-Man fan? Is that your drug of choice?
Still a Spider-Man fan. I mean, to be honest, I'm mainly a comic reader first, and my favorite stuff to read is indie stuff right now. Good. Anything from Image Comics, James Tynion. I just love unique stories, and I feel like the indie publishers give writers more freedom to just be as creative as possible.
Yes, I can't agree with you more. And I think that I'm glad that you said that, because you have we're going to get to the product that you manufacture here in a second, but these can fit any of, whether it's the traditional, if you want to call it the big three or whatever you want to call it for comics or indie comics. I mean, this is essential. I want people to understand that what you're offering here, what you've got here, is something that's an archival solution. I really think that. I don't take it lightly. I wouldn't have you on here if I didn't think so.
No, thank you.
Let me tell them if I can show them just one of the products first. I showed you where we started out, guys. The beginnings, and how we get into the bagging board. I mean, that's traditional, right? So, and with the Kirby comic, I mean, this is something that you want to put in something that's a little bit more durable, maybe is the right word I'm thinking of. Then we get into something that's a little bit better, right? Like we talked about. And these are great. Pennies on the dollar, right? But when I'm looking at comics, that are worth upwards of thousands of dollars, and something that or I've had for my entire life, I didn't sell, I want to get something that's a little bit more durable. And this is what this is a piece of art now. What you've created here in a simple format with acrylic gives me an opportunity. This one does not hang on the wall. We'll go through the product selections in a minute, but it gives you an idea. Everybody knows I'm a huge fan of my man Celestri. And when he sent me this, the signature piece, this board, this card, I didn't really have a way to display it. Now I do, because now it's sealed. It's with my Boba Fett, that the first appearance of him. And I've got the man on the back too. Everybody can see this. And guess what? It can be wiped down. It's not, and it's UV protected. So that's fantastic. Right. And this is just the beginning of it. This is just the beginning of what you offer. So
that's right.
We'll go into the Hellboy one a little bit later, but tell everybody what it is that you do.
Yeah. So Crafti Comics, we make displays for people who collect a little bit of everything, which is really what I am. And this whole kind of company started during the COVID quarantine, when we were all stuck at home, and I was looking for projects and things to do, and I told my wife that I wanted to display some of my comic collection on the walls throughout the house. And I bought these BCW, like the black plastic snap-ons, and I showed her, and she immediately nixed.
I think I've got something very similar back there. So yeah.
But she just felt like it wasn't something to where it would go with the rest of the house.
Sure.
It just had kind of a cheaper quality to it, to where if it's maybe just for my personal nerd room, that's totally fine.
Sure.
But I kind of wanted to, spread things out and celebrate them, because it was fun when people came by, and to tell them stories about the things that I collected and things. Right. So, I went to my friend, Jen, who had a personal laser, and I said, "Hey, Jen, do you think you can make me something? Because I'm going online, and like all I can find are these just different variations of like cheaper plastic options through Amazon, or I could go, to a local framer, which was closed at the time. But even at the time, it cost hundreds of dollars to get something framed in glass. It's very heavy, and the mat's very heavy. When I just saw people's images, it just felt like the comic was very secondary to the frame.
Yep.
And so I said, "Hey, Jen, can you do better than this?" And she came up with a really, interesting design of using just a light wood backing that she cut. And it was a multiple layer design. So basically different pieces that created the depth, because I told her how important it was that, unlike the old school like card screw downs where everything gets just pressed and it's the pressure, you need the depth, because that's what's going to allow it to sit properly. But also you don't want like the wiggle room left over.
Correct.
Some of the other options I bought, you ended up needing to put a bag and board like with it in there, then it's just additional glare and wrinkles, and you can't see the back of the book. So so Jen made this frame for me, and I posted a picture. It was very simple. It was a light wood backing with a black border. There's the comic. I posted a picture of it. People suddenly wanted to know where to get it, and that's when I went, "Hey, I think we might have something here," And we spun up a website, and at the time it was called WeCrafty.com, and it was actually a combination of Jen's home decor ideas and some of her DIY kits and my comic book frame. And we kind of just put it up there and out there into the world, and just people started, requesting just different things and different styles. And We evolved from that single modern frame with a light wood backing and a black border to, oh, let's go with different color borders,
Sure.
you know, and
Sure.
people are staining these things themselves and Mod Podging them. Maybe we should just have that as an option. And then there were the collectors who were saying, hey, I collect graded slabs and there's no good way to display these things. What can you do for me? And our mentality kind of at the business in just growing was, let's prototype stuff. Let's put it up there. You know, let's see how it does and how collectors respond to it. And if it does well, then we'll keep it. And if it doesn't do well, then we'll nix it.
Okay.
A good example of that is one of our first slab display designs was just an open ledge. It was like a wood backing and a piece of acrylic that then had a ledge built in, and there was Velcro that would keep the slab in place.
Okay.
Because the idea was like, oh, you want to show it off, and that was the entry level, and we would offer the UV protection as like the better option, right?
Sure. The upgrade. Yep.
But overwhelmingly, every collector of those slabs was like, well, I need UV protection. You know, that's why I'm getting this frame for it. And so we nixed the little, you know, ledge display, and we just went for the display case. And then we, just like the other frames, developed different styles to it. Light wood, stained wood, all acrylic is one of our newer options because, you know, people wanted to see both sides. They wanted a very minimal look to it. And just now through treasury frames, 11 by 17 is now the largest one we do. We just wanted to be very adaptive and receptive to, you know, what the community was asking for, what they were looking for. So really, when enough people message us asking for something, we kind of add it to an idea folder, and then we eventually try to develop it, put it out there, see how it does, and let the collectors decide.
And then see what the market says. One of the things that I really like about what you do, and I'm not a big collector of this, but you also do cards, baseball cards and sports cards, right? You do some type of
that's one of our newest frames that we're coming out with is our 9-card like top loader frame. We used to do some of the graded card frames in a 3 and 6 card format, but what we learned, the challenge with that is that unlike comics where there's pretty much 2 big players in the grading game, sports cards there's like 100 players in the grading game. It's insane, and everyone wanted the frame to fit their slab.
Sure.
And you know, it was we didn't want to compromise because, again, I want it to fit well. I want it to look nice. I don't want it to be one size catch all and like there's wiggle room. And so, you know, even though we could have developed some of those other products, we didn't. And ultimately, our PSA graded card frame, we've decided to sunset in favor of the top loader frame.
Sure.
Because I think people, it's more flexible of an option. You know, people have more cards and top loaders. And at the end of the day, like everyone, you want to show off your stuff, but you want to make sure it's protected. And it's that 99% UV protection that really makes the difference.
Huge difference. And that you know, and that's when I say archival, I mean it, because it's everything from a simple grow light for a plant that you have in your house could offset that discolor your comics. I mean, there's something that you don't realize. You don't realize if you have a reflection coming off the car that comes through the window of your house, it can, and it hits the comic book, it can change the color as well. So a very minor thing, but in the big scheme of things, you want to protect it as much as you can. And I think with the UV protectant, it's just the added bonus to it all, I think.
Yeah, like you said, you spend thousands of dollars on something, you know, you have to give it that level of care.
Absolutely. And it, you know, like anything else, you're going to evolve. Your products are going to evolve with the market and what you guys want to do with it too, because you and I have discussed it. As an artist, I talk to you about prints and things and ideas that I have for, you know, for my clients that I would love to have something that we could offer them that's just a little bit better than having a frame on, having to go to Michael's or something and have a frame done. That's great if they want to do that, but I'd rather have something that's something that they can, you know, move around. It's maybe a little less expensive, but it also offers this archival technology that you've got, that you're offering at an affordable
One of our
price.
more popular frames was inspired by an artist on Instagram, Daniel Jacob Horan from Popfly Pop Shop, who reached out to us right after we had launched, and it said, "Hey, you know, I'm kind of having some success with selling these prints that I'm doing, but they're a weird size. They're 7 by 10.5 inches, and they don't make frames for those. Like, can you do anything for me? And so we made him a prototype, and then we kind of, again, put it out there. And now that collector community is one of my favorite communities, because they're super positive. They're great collectors. They love our frames. And so it's been nice to like work with different artists and see them grow too. And because and I'll take you on a tour of our facility here, we manufacture everything here. We have that ability to cut things, to try if they're awkward sizes, if you've got a unique idea, but there's an opportunity there. We're very creative people, and we like trying to think, outside the box with some of that stuff.
That's excellent. One of the things, and we'll go, I can't wait for the tour. I'm looking forward to that. One of the things that I think is really fascinating what you did was, we were talking about this earlier. You can actually, I'm going to bring this up. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about this particular?
Yeah, so those are our Crafti curators, and they are little sticker tags that you can add to any of our Crafti frames.
I'm putting it right here, just so you can see it. This is, I got skin still on this, so you're not going to have a hazy plexi on that. Sorry about that.
And no, but basically with the curators, it allows collectors to link digital content to their physical collectibles. The inspiration behind this was when a lot of collectors were reaching out to us going, are you going to create a label for your slab? And I didn't want to, because I felt like that's what everyone else was doing.
Yeah.
And there's some complexities with printing, labels and custom and things. But I understood, why they wanted it. And in talking to a lot of collectors, sometimes the people who liked graded books, like, as much as I'm against the concept of like, it only has value when it's graded.
I agree with that.
What I learned was that sometimes people got books graded not for the grade or any of like fair market value edition. It was simply to help document what the book is. And so they just like the fact that it told you it was a first appearance and that here's the writers and stuff. Like, they like that information on the label. And so I went, okay, I can work with that. How can we do that better? And so in kind of doing some research and seeing what was out there, we came across these NFC tags and this idea of, here's how you can very easily give people an option to customize this own experience, right? Of like, how are you going to preserve the story of what your collectible is? Part of the fun for me was just putting it out there and seeing what people did with it and how creative they could get with it. Because in my mind, my first inclination was, you can just take a picture of the paper COA that you have. You can upload that to your Google Drive or whatever. You can link that then to the book. And now you no longer ever have to worry about losing that paper COA, because it is forever digitally linked to the book.
And you've got the proof. Yep.
And you've got the proof. But from there, it was like, what's the ultimate proof? Well, probably a video of the person signing the book or doing that artwork,
Which you did. You actually had people sign the books that are at the shows. Fantastic idea.
Yeah, and so all I did was just take a video, with myself, and as they're doing it, I uploaded to my YouTube channel or to my Google Drive, like anywhere where you can host videos, Vimeo, and you just take that URL, you link it to the curator, and it's not as if you need a special app or something to like open it or access it or to change it. Anyone with an NFC-enabled smartphone, which is almost every phone nowadays, all you have to do is hold your phone up to the curator, a little pop-up will show up, and you just click it to access that digital content. And it's everything from photos to videos to even dynamic links to eBay sold listings.
Fantastic.
So what better way to express to, because people will say, hey, I'm getting this book slabbed because I want my great grandchildren to understand what the value of it is. Even though we can go down a rabbit hole.
It gives provenance too. Right. It gives provenance to the product. And that was one thing I was thinking of too, as an artist, whether in my comic books or whatever that I make or what have you, in my art too, because I thought it, as an artist, you could also put these curators on with a video that you did the artwork for. So
that's right.
And it would just give the collector just that little bit more. This is the work that went into making this piece of art.
Yeah.
especially for them, you know. So there's there's so much creativity happening here. That's what I love about what you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's
Fantastic,
part of
man.
that story. It's just the experience, and it's being able to do it your way. You know, what I didn't
Sure.
like about a lot of the other options out there, it was very like it's this way or no way.
Yeah.
And I felt, I never wanted people to mail us stuff. People asked us all the time, do I mail you the thing? How do I do this? I just want to ship it to you. I don't even necessarily want to tell you what to do with it or how to do it.
Yeah.
I want you to make it your own, because collecting is just such a very individual experience to
Sure.
everyone.
Sure.
And I think that's something that has gotten lost a lot in like modern collecting.
I agree. I agree with that. Um, Let me show them real quick since I've got this here, if
Yeah,
that's okay with you.
of
So
course.
what I did was, you sent me a few of the samples, and I wanted to just give an idea. We put this up on your Instagram, which I suggest everybody go to, and definitely check that out. We can put it in the links too. Tell everybody about this particular. I don't know if I put this together, but this is the way I wanted it. But I'm going to tell you what I did though. I didn't take the. There is a protective coating on the back that I'm actually going to be removing. I haven't done that yet because of this red outline. So, but I wanted to show it so that they could see that there's actual notches here for screws so that you can mount this on the wall. Very important. I wanted this to be shown not from a display. I'm sorry about the reflections, from a display standpoint, but with the red, this looks so dynamite.
It looks so good.
It doesn't do it justice on here. But you also, I wanted to do this as well. Oops, as I break this on camera, we have this set up so that it's, let me grab this here. Your stand. I did this. I didn't take any of the plastic off so you could see it, and I didn't want the reflection. But your stand is also very easy to knock down. I mean, it's awesome, and you can use it for both the wall hanging mount as well as the basic. So very nice. I mean, very simple. You can take every piece of this off as far as the coating. I just didn't do it just for visuals, but
no, it's perfect. Like we leave all the film on because it's not just a product, and sometimes that's where people get caught. It's a product. I feel like it's an experience. It's about you setting aside time to do it, and you put on your favorite show in the background, and you've got your beer to the side, you got your stack of books,
the full experience.
You've got all these books that you get to go through, and you remember how you got them, and as you're peeling the film from these pieces of acrylic, like no one has ever touched your slab until you have.
Right.
And it comes together in your hand. And to me, there's no better feeling than peeling that final piece. Like once you put it all together for like a little reveal for yourself, it's fun. And
that was I'm sorry. Go ahead. I want to tell you what, if I can interrupt for a second, that's one of the things that got me when you first started posting these things. I saw it, and that you were going in and you were doing that, and you were having other people peel that off. It was awesome. Very good marketing. Excellent.
Thank you. Okay. I'll have to get back to doing more of those.
Yeah, it was fun to watch because nobody else was doing it. You got it. You have a great idea, the great market for it. And I think that people, when they really see what you're trying to do and looking at the evolutionary practices that you guys have too, I'm sure that you can't do everything that everybody asks, but it gives you at least an idea. You try, that's the main thing about entrepreneurship is that you're being creative and you're trying to solve a problem, and it's a win-win. I didn't mean to cut you off though.
No, it's to entrepreneurship. I heard an anecdote the other day that I like. It's like entrepreneurs are the types that jump out of the airplane and then figure out how to build the parachute on their way down. And that's a little bit of what this company has been built upon. This concept of like, oh, well, we don't know how, but we're going to figure it out. We can do it. What do you want? Okay, we can think of something like that, and then go from there. Now, the downside of that is that when you don't necessarily have a plan to grow a business into what it is, or even as an artist, right? You're starting out, you're just making something, and you don't have this long-term plan. All kinds of things can happen. And I'll take you on a tour here too, if you'd like, and I'll show you some of the things that are, struggles, some of the changes that we're making. But then from struggles, you find better opportunities and better ideas.
Absolutely.
And you push yourself, and then I think it's all for the better. And so with that, you want me to show you around a little
Absolutely, man. Let's go.
right,
I'm
right
going to actually bring you up full screen if you don't mind.
bit? Yeah.
All
So
right.
this is I'll do like a quick 360. This is our
Wow.
warehouse
It's quite an
facility here.
operation, bro. Wow.
Yeah, we are, yeah, it's pretty big. And so this is, I'll show you our kind of stocked parts station
Hmm.
where once we laser cut everything, it comes over to this section. And then once people place orders, they are placed on this table here and we start to piece them together all the way through. They come to our shipping station with labels and our giant packing peanuts funnel and things like
Which,
that over
by the
here.
way, your pack, it was great. Everything came in. It was perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
no, the team does a great
So,
job, and I
yeah.
will share that with them. They do, they work really hard on that, and I appreciate it because I just am the marketing idea collectors guy, and
Hmm.
there's a lot of people that you don't see on a regular basis that go put in a lot of hard work to making this, business happen. Um, Here's all our boxes and things, but here's kind of the most exciting stuff. This is our first one of our first lasers that we had, our Boss laser, which is pretty big
Sure.
comparatively to people with personal lasers at home. But eventually we outgrew that one, and now this is our
Wow.
current laser.
Holy cow.
And for
Wow.
scale, I feel like I'm 6'5", so I should stand in
Right.
front of it so you can see like for
Right.
reference. But it's like a 10-foot laser now,
Yeah.
that we feed giant sheets of acrylic into. You can see some of my sheets of acrylic and wood, over here.
Hmm.
But now here's the challenge that we're going to talk about, in growing a business is over time, as you develop new products, there are all of these different naming conventions, and then it becomes very convoluted, and people don't know what to order for what size or for what purpose. And then from there, from a logistics perspective, wood is a very challenging material to work with.
Yes.
Okay. From inconsistencies in the grain to the staining to laser minor alignment issues can result
Sure.
in a lot of waste. So here's just like one small scrap pile
Sure.
of stained wood products, or things that like I can't use because of some of those issues with wood. And so part of what we're going to be focusing here on Crafti moving forward is the all acrylic products and all acrylic designs, to alleviate some of these manufacturing issues. What this is also going to result in is kind of better value to collectors, faster turnaround times, and also us being able to have more aesthetic options with things and not have to worry about all of the wood.
Understood. And I know in cabinetry, for people who don't know, I was a architectural designer for 30 years. Cabinetry, so many variations. There's so many issues in homes. I can't even imagine what you've got to do as far as on a smaller scale, but
Mm-hmm.
two different pieces of material, whether it's acrylic to wood. And I mean, that alone has its own
Mm-hmm.
issues with expansion and humidity
Yeah.
and everything. So yeah,
And then
I'm sure
here's another example. It's just not as durable as acrylic, right? You get a small
sure.
little chip here, things there, then it's not like up to uh, what I would consider standard to be able to send to someone,
Yeah.
right? And so, this has been the most challenging part for me over the last few weeks as we've been evaluating this, is going, well, how do I, rethink a product that we started from,
Mhm.
that we've grown from, that we've sold thousands of, that people love. We've shipped them all over the world to Peach Momoko in Japan is probably one of the
Awesome.
farthest people that we've shipped them
Awesome.
to. But at the same time, when you see an opportunity to do something better, I feel like you can't be afraid to just blow up what you've done.
Sure.
And so with that said, I'm going to show you. You're going to be the very first person
Ah,
to see.
Ted Davies exclusive. Excellent. Awesome.
That's
Can't
right.
wait.
Our
Can't wait.
very new, and the future of Crafti is not the Flex Frame or the X Slab, but it is our Flex Slabs.
Oh, excellent. All right. So
So
tell everybody what the difference is on that.
yeah.
That's besides
So
acrylic.
let's go back to that, to your Star Wars, right? That you
Yeah.
slabbed, but you said, but I can't hang it on the wall. That's what everyone
Correct.
said to us. I
Yep.
love the X slabs. How do I hang these things on the wall? So now our X slabs will come with those rear engraved mounts that you see.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay, so now you can pop these. They still come with the easels.
Mm-hmm.
And what we wanted to do was simplify. Okay,
Okay.
it's about less. It's less options for collectors to start and more flexibility. Like once they get the product. So here you still get the display stand.
Okay.
You can still pop it up on the wall, but now look, here are all the different color backing options.
Oh, that's great.
With the slabs too.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing you'll notice is a lot of collectors are very OCD and they don't like when the screw heads
Yes.
face different directions. So now
We had that
there's
comment,
no
didn't we?
heads.
We had
That's
that comment
right. No
on the
screw heads
Instagram.
to worry about. And you
Yep.
can keep it in all acrylic design like
Mhm.
this, right? Pop it up on the wall. Here's my Sam De La Rosa. And you can still see the great Michael Jordan ad in the back.
Fantastic. Yeah.
This is one of my favorites because not only did he sign it to us, but it's got a rose remark that he did for us that I love so much.
That's so
sick.
Yeah,
now look how easy this is to pop up onto the wall versus some of our other slabs and frames.
That's great.
The reason for that, we have now added an extra layer of acrylic here in back to create more depth behind the mounted holes.
Excellent.
Which was an issue for a lot of collectors because it was flat and they said, hey, how are these things supposed to hang? There's not enough room for like the nail heads or screw heads that I'm using to catch. So we just wanted to make the product a lot easier to mount. And also for the Curator, because I think the Curator is such cool technology, but people don't often know what it is and it's new. And so at the ordering, checkout process, when you have the option to add the Curator, you might not add it because you don't know what it is.
Right.
But now with the frames, we are going to include the Curator with all of them.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
The best part is the price of all this does not change. Our X slab was $22. Mm-hmm. It's still $22, except now it's also wall mountable. It includes the Crafti Curator for you to link digital content to any of your physical collectibles. And you can add any of the color borders that you see here too. You can also add additional depth. So if you have any thicker comic books, anniversary editions, or a good example of that is like this Dark Knight signed by Frank Miller that I've got. This is a pretty thick book, but here you can see with the extra layer of acrylic that I've added, it sits in there perfectly.
Yeah, that's great.
It's not pinched. There's no leftover wiggle room. I'm not doing a bag and board, anything like that. And again, can pop it on the wall. Unlike some other frames that have the single engraved mount at the top, which can lead to, it going one way or the other with the spine of the book being a little bit heavier, we use twin engraved mounts. So that way they're always nice and flush against the wall. But if you don't decide to pop them up on the wall, again, nothing wrong with using the easel and celebrating your collection that way too.
That's great.
So those are our new flex slabs.
Fantastic.
And we're going to be sunsetting. So basically throughout the rest of the month, I'm going to announce that, it's kind of a first come, first serve. If you loved the wooden products, buy up as many of them as you can before we stop making them. Once we're out of those parts that I showed you in back, it's kind of going to be it. But looking at the numbers and hearing from collectors, the X slab was really the most popular option. And the people who went with the flex frame, it was really only because of the wall mountable ability.
Sure.
So now that we've taken care of that, the other thing I like about the design is it's a lot more minimal with just the one color border versus two as an accent. And it's just a much cleaner, smaller look for you to display more comics in more ways. And as soon as you get tired of looking at these, you can always just take it off the wall, open the screws up and back, display a different book. And that way your wall can be an ever evolving thing.
And evolution is the key. And I think that one thing that you've done though, is you refined a good design, and that's exceptional. That's exactly what you need to do in order to be relative. And I think that, relevant in a situation where you still have a good product, but it's showing you that you're for under $25. Are you kidding me? I mean, seriously, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Thank you.
Where do you see this idea going from? What else do you think? What else
from
do you
here?
see?
what I'm hoping to do is being able to offer different colors, doing drops, more exclusives, working with more artists to do different designs as we look at laser cutting options, onto the slabs themselves, doing different unique colors, backings where there are maybe artwork incorporated in some way.
Excellent.
But, my favorite idea in working with artists and creative is the idea of using the curator as a chase experience. So imagine doing 10 art prints and they're all self-slabbed, in one of our products with the curator.
Okay.
And let's say 7 of those art prints have a digital link to the COA, so they can always have that. But then maybe 2 more of those have a behind the scenes video of the artwork being created. Maybe only one of those has a Ted Davies special video shout out, explaining his inspiration for the art. So the idea, I think, is how can you get collectors really excited, like the mystery box stuff, right?
Sure.
But about what experience are they going to get to see and to be a part of, outside of just ending up with stuff in a mystery box. They're like, oh, I've already got this, or this was lackluster.
That's fantastic. Because then that way, you're creating a whole new market, a whole new genre, really a whole new genre in a way, because you've got, and it's a scarcity. In a lot of respects, it's good because it's good for the collector and the person producing the art, or whether it's a comic book or whatever. That's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, because a lot of the value becomes in the aftermarket, right? The artist doesn't see that when the collector slabs it and it has a certain grade and it goes for more. Like the artist doesn't see any of that. The artist, all they can hope to do is submit their information to the grading companies so that they won't get a green label on something and they'll be like part of the cool kids club. I think like the artists are the genius. Like it's not the grading companies adding the value to this whole thing. It is the artists. And we lost that a long time ago.
Yeah.
So really what I'm hoping to do is, and I'm not going to lie, it's harder than I would like it to be, because not all artists are like you, to where they're on top of it and as, proactive with things. Sometimes people say they're interested, and it's hard to actually make it come to life.
Sure.
But I think even down to me demonstrating at a yard sale I had recently, where, because I told you I moved.
Sure.
And I had to realize I had too many comic books that I just
you and me both, brother. You and me
too many comic books I had just bought for Instagram photos and different things, or gotten at Comic Cons as part of the business. So I had a yard sale, and some of those books were slabbed and framed in our products. And guess what? I sold them for more than the cost of the book plus the cost of the frame.
Good.
Because there is an intrinsic value in people seeing the thing, wanting to show it off, and feeling like it's very well preserved.
Sure.
And so, kind of demonstrating our own proof of concept. And I really encourage any artist out there to, if you're looking to turn your art into a business model and you're starting to look at, margins and different things like that, like what better way to add margin to your products than the illusion of value, of which you can dictate by creating your own scarcity, by creating your own chase experiences, your own exclusives. You don't need ratio variants from a publisher or grading companies in order to do that. You just need a good idea.
And I think that minus the scarcity factor, the value of it all, I think that if you build a truly empathetic, compassionate market from your work, your client base will see the value. And you are giving some type of provenance to this material now, especially if you really think it the way that you were talking about. The creation of video is one thing, or having a limited amount of these curators throughout the series. It's a fantastic idea. And I recommend anybody that is an artist or a creator, think about that. Use that idea. Start that little spark of that fire and see if maybe something comes up, and let us know. Let Dan know. Contact one of us and let us know what you think. And maybe there's something that, there might really help the public as general, and the market in general, of what we can do as collectors.
I see so many amazing artists on Instagram, and some of them aren't successful. And their art is way better than other people that I've seen that are very successful. Yeah. And so you start to think that, art is part of it, but then it's also developing your audience and your brand and consistency, and that drive behind the art. And that's where I feel like artists like Daniel at Pop Fly Pop
Mm-hmm.
Shop really excelled, because it's a comic inspired baseball art print, which
Mm-hmm.
and people have done in the past, but his pitches, it's about elevating the game. And it's just different, not just players, but moments and aspects to the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it also making his art prints only available for 1 week at a time,
Yeah, that's a
and getting
huge
these
marketing.
collectors
Yeah.
who miss out, and they have to get the other one. And it was a really smart business model. And I've always appreciated that. But outside of just like the logistics of it, I think the reason that the community connects with him so much is his authenticity, his transparency too.
Yeah.
And just, he'll pop up at midnight doing a live video and just like, hey, I'm burned out after this long day of doing this
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and I think people, they're drawn to those because it's more human. And
That's real life. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, it's
that's
real life.
we've all been there. That's great. I'm sure you've had a few late nights working, thinking. It never shuts
sure.
off. Your mind never shuts off, I'm sure.
Never shuts off. Yeah.
How do people buy the material? How do they order from you?
Just go to our website, crafticomics.com, and that's crafty with an I, Crafti Comics. And you can customize everything online. We laser cut it in our facility that I just showed you. We ship it right to you for easy assembly. And then we love when people send us pictures of the things and stories behind it of, when
I know you do.
Jim Lee. Yeah. So that's my favorite part, is getting to live. I always tell people I get to live vicariously through their collections, and some books that I'll probably never get to own, like, first ASM 1 or AF 15, but hey, they displayed it in my frame. There's a piece of me, in there.
Man. Absolutely. Yeah. And we'll make sure that everything's in the, I'll make sure everything's in the description and the notes and that. So we've got links, for all your stuff. What do you think, of everything that's happening now with, the new stuff that you're going to be, I know you're excited. Yeah. What do you, I think it's going to be great. I think that you're moving in the right direction. I think that you have a vision of what, and I think it's the beginning of there might be some major things coming in the next few months that I don't even think that you're aware of yet. From artists and ideas. I'm sure that there are going to be a lot of people coming to you with some other, hopefully doable ideas that you can work with. The only thing that I would suggest for everybody is really figure out which of the comics that you think are going to be your pride and joys. Really, 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 you curate, pardon the word, curate, and figure out what you really, really want to display, because these are, I think I want to do, I've got a whole wall that I really want to do. And I've got something that's very similar to what you have there, but really look at it. And like you were saying, after you get them, send in the pictures, because I'll tell you what, Dan, I mean, he really means that with passion. He did with ours on Instagram, and I can't believe how many people jumped on that picture. I couldn't believe it when you posted it, and that was the Hellboy one behind me. But what's your favorite comic? I was going to ask you. I don't know it's ASM. Is there something that really that you've got that you've put together in acrylic?
What's my favorite comic? Ooh, that's a tough one. Okay, I'm looking at a few of them right now. So here, I'm going to take you through a few of these. Man, all right. I'm gonna have to go with this one just because it's got some it's a sentimental thing.
Okay.
This is my Alf comic.
That's good, dude. That's great. Okay. That's great.
And this one is actually signed and made out to me. And I got this when I was 9 years old.
That's awesome, dude.
I was in a local play. So as a child, I went out. There's a play in town, and there was it was an adult play. Not to say there's like nudity, but like there was one child part in it. Okay.
Got it.
And
got it.
I auditioned for it and I got it. And
awesome.
One of the actors in the play was one of the illustrators from Alf, and had worked on the comic. And so as a gift, he played my dad in the play. So we spent a lot of time together, and he gifted that to me. And so that's always been a very precious part of my collection.
That's
is
awesome.
That Alf. But then again, it's like picking between children, right? Because I'm a big Simpsons fan. Big Simpsons fan. So I got some Simpsons covers, Santa's Little Helper, and things like that. And then as a Jurassic Park nerd too, one of my favorite comics is the Amber Chrome.
Oh wow,
foil
that's
edition
cool,
that
man.
You had to sign away for.
I didn't remember. I don't remember that one. That's awesome.
back
That's
in the
awesome.
day, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was numbered and everything back when Topps made comic books and
Sure.
stuff.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
Mike Mignola is one of my big. I'm a huge Mike Mignola fan. He did quite a few of them on Tops with Dracula. Oh yeah. I'm a
yeah,
big fan. So good for them. Thank you,
yeah,
man, for being so
of course.
awesome and vulnerable and open with the story and everything that you're doing. I wanted to ask you, in closing, is there a lead time on any of these products? If they order, is there certain lead times?
Yeah, great question. So for our all acrylic products, they're generally a couple of days because we've got them stocked already, and so we
Okay.
can just put them together and ship them to you. Going to the logistics issues, the stained wood was what was taking us the
Sure.
longest.
Sure.
It was a more popular option, but because all the wood is hand sanded and hand stained, it just created a back order. And I think ultimately what people are looking for is like they like the look of wood, they like the dark, and for some of our slab displays, we're going to be offering a black acrylic backing option. So you still have that,
Sure.
same kind of aesthetic that you were going for. But I think even though we're losing the wood, like people are just going to be really excited about the new design of, hey, the slab I liked so much can now go on the wall, and there's
Yeah.
all these other things that I get with it
Yeah.
for the same cost.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I think you'll be fine with that. I think that it's just it's just a evolution of the product. And they used to put wood on the side of cars too. So,
Yeah, that's
um,
right.
yeah, I think that you've got a great vision of what's going to be happening. I'm so happy for you. I'm glad that you're doing what you love, and I'm glad that you're enjoying. I'm glad that you're successful at it. I'm glad that we could do this because I really wanted to showcase you, because I know that you and I, we've become friends over the course of the half a year now, and it's just been a lot of fun just being part of the creative, just the creative process with you. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it, and I really
No,
really mean
100%.
that.
I appreciate that, and I'm really looking forward to working with you and collaborating because you're one of those artists that gets it and wants to push the boundaries of just beyond the art and create more experiences for their collectors.
Yep,
And so, thank you for that too.
I appreciate it. Where can everybody reach you?
CraftiComics.com. You can shoot me an email, info@CraftiComics, or better yet, on Instagram or any social. It's just @CraftiComics, Crafty with an I. And we're really responsive to messages and things. If you have questions on the sizes of the frames, which frame should you order, which color, that's my favorite question is, what color should I go with? Quick tip, I learned this from a former professional framer. Try to pair the color with the third most dominant color on the cover. And I stuck to that, and it's treated me
Okay.
pretty well so
I
far.
didn't do that with the Hellboy, but I got you.
Yeah,
I get
yeah,
what you're saying. That's good though. That's a good policy. Um, Thank you so much. I'll
yeah.
make sure everything's in the description when we put everything together here and editing. I appreciate you, man. I will talk to you soon, and stick around
Thank you,
for a
Ted.
second after I shut everything down here. All right.
Sounds
We'll
good.
talk to you. Thanks again. Well, there you have it, guys. Dan is a collector. He's a creator. Um, he makes things that are going to work for you. And the biggest thing that I want you to remember about all this is that we as collectors are just taking care of it for the next person, right? Enjoy it while you have it. And that is something that this product allows you to do. You can still open these. You can still just take it apart and still read the book. And I love that. If the comics aren't any good if you can't read them. And that's the way I've always felt about it. So check out everything that we're doing on Ted Davies Artistry. Please check out the QR code there and take you to Substack, all my writing and that, all that fun stuff. Join the podcast for $5 a month. You see all the different ins and outs of the business and how I'm growing my art business. And we would love to have you be part of Ted's tribe. So thank you again for everybody stopping in, and we will see you soon. No envy, no fear. Thanks again.